Hey, thought I'd check in with y'all. It's been about 10 days since the last podcast, and tell you what's up. Seasonal allergies are getting to me and stuff like that, so I haven't been feeling the best. Snow's still missing. I think it might because somebody with a very similar name to mine got finally Speaker of the House, and Snow went to D.C. to celebrate, and it's not me, obviously. God, guys, the other guy, same name. Then she's going to Philadelphia. So maybe I was off on the whole Tom Brady thing from the last episode, and maybe, just maybe, she's doing a Taylor Swift and going after the other Kelce. You know, kind of weird. Went to Kansas City earlier this year. Now Philadelphia. I don't know, maybe she has something for the Kelces. Who knows? But she will be back very soon. I think probably in the next couple weeks, we'll get her back on the podcast again. My Patriots beat the Bills last week. And to me, I guess that was kind of the Super Bowl. It won't get as good as that this year. You know, take down the team that has kind of owned us over the last few years. You know, so, hey, hopefully they can continue and the whole season won't be a bust. As far as fantasy, Snow kind of went up on, not fantasy, the picks. Snow went up like 9 games in the first 2 weeks. And I was slowly catching her, and for the last couple of weeks, we've maintained this 5-game deficit to her. And I might lose this year again because it gets later in the year and you just can't get caught up. So last week, I went to U2 at Spear in Vegas, and if you haven't seen it, and I think everybody has by this point, this is incredible, this dome-like structure that's just off the strip, and it's huge, just absolutely massive, and all video screens on the outside of it, and just from the outside, it just looks phenomenal. You can see it for miles, you can see it when you're flying in, and all the emojis and everything else that they portray on it. It's stunning to see, and especially up close, because until you see it up close, you don't realize how massive it is. And the F1 race is going to be in Vegas in a few weeks, and it's kind of also amazing to see all the infrastructure that they're doing to have the F1 race there. These massive grandstands all over that are just going to be torn down. The only thing that's not cool is where the fountains are. They built these grandstands in front of that, so from Las Vegas Boulevard, you can't see the fountains anymore. That kind of was kind of like, why would you do that? But hey, Vegas, it's going to be crazy. I think I'm going to try to avoid Vegas for the next few weeks, though, because traffic is just kind of nuts around that area with all the road closures and such. But U2 played at Spear, and I will just say that show, it'll just change concerts. Nothing can compare to what that show is. Visually, the audio, we'll talk about that for just a second. The audio, they have more speakers in that place than there are seats. So from any seat you're at, you can hear perfectly. And I've never been to a concert where the singer can whisper and you can understand what he's saying. And the sound is so crisp and clear throughout the venue. Visually, just amazing. It's almost completely 360, where they would have these visuals where you would just look behind you and all the way down to the stage, over to your left, to your right, you know, until the seats start. And it's just such an immersive experience. And U2 always plays a phenomenal show. They play all of Octung Baby, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. They play every song of that. They do an acoustic set in the middle. That's kind of like a storyteller set. And then they just finish up with all their hits. And they just added, I think, 11 more shows to extend into February. If you get the chance to go, the show's amazing, incredible, mind-blowing show. And Bono, it sounded better than ever. I don't think I've ever heard his voice this good. Maybe it's a sound system, who knows. Or he's taken a few years off. Maybe that improved it. But he didn't preach like he usually does, where, he would just go off about subjects. He told stories and stuff like that, but he didn't preach on politics or anything like that. And as far as the Israel thing, he said, I'm not going to preach about it. I'm just going to sing for it. And it was beautiful. Amazing experience. Met some great people from New York. Sing to my right. The one guy it was his first U2 show, and his wife, it was like her 18th show, about the same as me on it. Just rave about that show and the Sphere and everything else that's going on. Vegas, crazy town right now. But get up there, go to Sphere, check it out. It's awesome. As far as the Israel thing, I said last week, it's just not good. And I think support Israel, and what Hamas did was terrible with the terror attack. But you can also feel empathy for the Palestinians and the citizens there, that Hamas is embedded in this city in Gaza. And it's just tragic to see the loss of life. And you get to the point where you just want to shut off the news and just not see it. But, morbid curiosity, gotta watch what's going on too. And it's not looking good. And just one final thing, the shooting in Lewiston, Maine. As of right now, they haven't caught the suspect yet. And I think as it stands, 18 dead, 13 wounded. Time again, this won't change. It's not going to change a thing. Even though the guy was in a mental hospital over the summer, apparently, and he still had his guns, he still had access to guns, or he was still allowed to buy guns. Kind of really doesn't matter which one it is. He was in the Army firearms instructor, and how come they didn't pull his license over that because of voices in his head? Who knows? I mean, over the next few days, we'll get into the same arguments on social media. One side says, well, you gotta ban assault weapons. It's too late to do that. It's too late. I think Biden did a foolish thing to say, we need to take these away. You're not going to. You're not going to take them away. What we need is regulations. And in this particular case, this particular guy should not have had them. Should have been a huge red flag. But I think we can all agree on that. Most sensible people can agree on that. But of course, this is going to go to Congress, and then it's going to turn into this. We need to ban assault weapons. That's not going to happen. And then the other side's going to say, well, yeah, we need to look into mental health. But if somebody throws a red flag on a mental health issue, they're going to say, well, it's a slippery slope and this and that, and the Second Amendment shall not be infringed. And we're going to get into that same bullshit argument that we always get into, and we're never, ever going to solve this problem. And what I think we need to do is have a little bit more empathy for each other and compassion, and realize that this has to stop. We look so foolish to the rest of the world because this is our problem. The world doesn't have this problem. Yeah, okay, yes, you will have an incident sometime, once in a while, in another country. In London, you'll have stabbing, mass stabbing instances. But you don't have this problem over and over and over and over again with no solutions. And I'm just tired of it. And that's also how nothing gets done either, because you just turn a blind eye to it, and eventually you just shut off the news like I did last night, because you just can't take watching it anymore. And all the lives that are affected. I've been through Lewiston a couple times, and it's a town roughly the same size of the town I live in. And I think of what would happen to my community if 18 people lost their lives in an incident like that, and how it would impact a community, and how these things they get everybody's attention, but we don't do anything about it. And just nothing on that note. The media is just reckless, of course, because people love train wrecks. You tune in to see what's going on. And last night, they had the death toll up to 22 and like 50 to 60 wounded. That turned out to be not the case. As of right now, it's like 18 dead and like 13 wounded, which is huge. Still huge. But the media is just so careless in their reporting, just to suck you in and get ratings on both sides. And I was watching Fox, and they had this one of the, quote unquote experts on, and he was saying, well, this obviously has to do with what's going on in Israel. Without any shred of evidence. And then you had Sean Hannity and goes, well, I take martial arts. That's how I would have stopped him. No, you wouldn't, Sean. You wouldn't stop this. Anyway, it gets a redundant point that we say time and time again. This is going to continue to happen until we look at ourselves and just treat each other better on social media. I can see the fights coming, because he used an AR type gun, and then we're going to have the fights about AR doesn't stand for assault rifle. Yeah, we know. We've been through this drill so many times, but something has to change. And it's the same way with Israel and Palestine. We need to have a little bit more empathy for the Palestinian people, not Hamas, but the Palestinian people who are stuck there in Gaza. And empathy for the Israelis, both sides. Dave Chappelle was doing a show in Boston at the TD Garden the other night. And people walked out because he said he kind of understood that Israel maybe was in the wrong a little bit about the bombings and how innocent people were getting killed, and people walked out. I think it's the time to listen to each other and have real conversations about all this shit. But we don't do that. We just dig in. We fight. And we get nowhere. And personally, I'm just sick of it. U2 at Spear, phenomenal. Go check it out. I don't think they need any help selling tickets, so I guess I'll end on this story that the last time it felt like the country was rode together was at 9/11. remember how we all felt? We all had our little flags on our cars. We were all a little bit better in traffic and stuff like that. Well, I had gone to see U2, and it was only a few weeks. And it was in the Meadowlands, and you could still look over from the Meadowlands parking lot at the smoke that was still coming up. And I remember that vividly. And U2, at the end of the show, played Walk On, and on a screen behind them, just like the Super Bowl, if you've seen the iconic Super Bowl show where they had all the names of the victims, but this was a couple months before, and the names of the victims were scrolling, and it kept on scrolling and scrolling. I think through 2 songs, just kept on scrolling. And I was crying. And I was like, God, I hope nobody's looking at me. And I managed to look around, and you had about 20,000 people all crying. And I think it's a sense of community that we need to get back to, and that sense of empathy and human life. I think we would do a whole lot better. So yeah, just sometimes just got to shut off the news and put on some music and just heal from all this. So anyway, that will be the podcast for now. I got some stuff lined up. We have not gone away. I know we've been doing these erratically. Sometimes you need to take a mental health break, between life and the news, and just things get too overwhelming. And then this doesn't become a priority, which shouldn't be a priority. But, Snow sends her best regards. We do love all our listeners. You tune in, and we will be back better than ever soon. Okay? Bye, y'all.